It is thinly veiled social Darwinism.
The social Darwinism budget? Well, Obama came out swinging today, slamming Paul Ryan's budget as a Trojan horse in an attempt to impose what he calls a radical vision on the country. Is Obama right? We're going to break down what's in the budget and what the showdown over dollars and cents means for the upcoming election. And next...
Justice! When do we want it? Now!
What is justice for TRAYVON? As more details about the fateful night trickle out, more questions arise and more angry calls that justice has yet to show its face. But what would justice look like, and how much will Zimmerman's mindset at the time of the shooting come into play? And later...
The longer we're in this thing, the stronger we're getting.
Oh, really? 3 states up for grabs today, and it looks like middle take them all. Is it really a showdown anymore, or just a show? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday evening, April 3rd. Game on. That's basically what Obama said today during a strongly worded speech condemning the Republican budget proposal authored by Paul Ryan, the conservative Republican. As a thinly veiled attempt, he called it a social Darwinism, attempting to paint the difference between him and his political opponents. Well, we are in first position with that, with Obama's tough talk.
It is a Trojan horse. Disguised as deficit reduction plans, it is really an attempt to impose a radical vision on our country. It is thinly veiled social Darwinism. It is antithetical to our entire history as a land of opportunity and upward mobility for everybody who's willing to work for it. A place where prosperity doesn't trickle down from the top, but grows outward from the heart of the middle class. And by gutting the very things we need to grow an economy that's built to last. Education and training, research and development, our infrastructure. It is a prescription for decline.
Later, the president focused in on what he called a simple choice: raise taxes on those who could afford it, or slash services primarily to the people who need it most.
And the choice is really very simple. If you want to keep these tax rates and deductions in place, or give even more tax breaks to the wealthy, as the Republicans in Congress propose, then one of two things happen. Either it means higher deficits, or it means more sacrifice from the middle class. Seniors will have to pay more for Medicare, college students will lose some of their financial aid, working families who are scraping by will have to do more, because the richest Americans are doing less. I repeat what I've said before. That is not class warfare. That is not class envy. That is math.
Well, joining us tonight to talk about the issue of math, Paul Ryan's budget, and so much more, Dominic Carter, veteran political journalist and author, senior political correspondent Andrew Whitman, and Kaihan Krippendorff, a business strategist and a former consultant with McKinsey & Company and author of several business strategy books, latest being Outthink the Competition. Now, before everybody chimes in, Andrew, break down here what the Ryan budget really says and why the president was so hopped up.
Well, this is really now the second Ryan plan that we've heard, and the one that he's proposing this year is very similar to the one that he proposed last year. Its priority is cutting the deficit in just about everything else the government spends on except the military. The new Ryan plan again cuts spending, and in a few years will begin to cut the debt. It calls for increased domestic energy production, the drill baby drill approach. So, supporters describe its take on health care and retirement as allowing people to control their own care, and it lowers taxes, at least on corporations and the very wealthy. Now, critics note that 62% of the cuts in the Ryan plan come from programs that help Americans of lower incomes. They say that Ryan changes Medicare from an insurance system to a subsidy that basically tries to help you buy private insurance. It cuts education, food stamps, and transportation, and it cuts the average taxes of millionaires by $250,000. Rich?
All right. Let me ask Kaihan. You see the various proposals. It's an election year, so you'll inject politics into it. But there does seem to be two very clear, distinct visions for what equity is in America, and the idea here that there ought to be the opportunity for upward mobility. The president saying in those uncertain terms, if you're in the middle class, I got a better plan than my competitors who are looking for a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires. I know it's deeper than that, but that's the broad stroke of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I compare this to a corporation that's looking to sell its strategy to the market. And there are two things. There's the vision, yes, but there's also the narrative. And I think that, we can break down the vision, talk about the differences too, but also we should look at the narrative. I think the Republican narrative is they're trying to create a narrative of, hey, we're not out. We're still in trouble, and the double dip didn't happen. And if they are in the narrative which America seems to be adopting now, which is, hey, we're on their way out, then that's a losing narrative for them. So I think that we see this and some of the other things that they've
Not to confuse it, but Mitt Romney's been on the stump saying we are doing better, the economy is improving, but he doesn't deserve all the credit. Yeah. If they're trying to present a budget saying that we're heading off a fiscal cliff, that seems counterintuitive to what their nominee's saying.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. But people make decisions based off of how they think the future is going to feel, right? They listen to the logic, but at the end of the day, they think, am I feeling good? And if the people that were here today are part of me feeling good, then they'll want to vote for who's there now.
And politically, Mitt Romney, who is loath to get into details or specifics when he's outlining what he's going to do, he has said, I support the Ryan plan, I support the Ryan budget. So, the White House is definitely going to use the Ryan plan to hammer Mitt Romney. There's no separation between the two, and the White House isn't going to treat them as though there's any separation.
Not to get too deep in this, but Ryan did, in effect, a complete 180 of himself. 5 months earlier, he laid out an idea that we have to end corporate welfare and everything, and he talked about more of an equal vision in America, and now he's saying something different. In the end, before we even get to the how this thing's going to be framed, the choice, Dominic, it seems, that the president wants the public to make is, wait a second, we got one plan, and they say the way to get back on our feet is help out the job creators. My plan is, for all you guys here who haven't either worked 2 jobs here or can't make your mortgage payment or having trouble paying the kids' tuition, I feel your pain. There's going to be a lot more detail attached to it, but those are the broad competing messages, right?
I couldn't agree with you more, Richard.
I've always said you're brilliant, Dominic. Go ahead. Yeah.
And frankly, the Obama team should thank Paul Ryan for this budget because it's playing right into the hands of Obama. We have a country where, and we've said this night after night after night, people want jobs. People want opportunities. They want the feel-good days of the Clinton administration. Whether that's a reality or not, they're a real situation. The country went through a prosperous time, and many Americans want to return to those days. And what we're really talking about is a philosophical battle of Republicans, led by Paul Ryan in this case, making a case of cut, cut, cut.
Yep.
Cut, cut, cut. And it just doesn't work.
Well, Kaihan, let me ask you, in terms of, how you have to frame an issue here. Can this be framed with some of the details in the Ryan plan, where this is going to be basically the blueprint for Obama to say, hey, listen, you got Medicare right now? Be afraid.
Right.
It's not just the welfare clean who need some of this help here. You need help paying for your kids' tuition, Pell Grants, et cetera.
Right.
They go away while they want to add more tax cuts. Can they put that into a bumper sticker?
Right, I think they absolutely can. I agree. They are playing into the Democrats' hands, and that's why I think that their intentions can't be really to pass that budget, because they're just opening up for change Medicare as we know it again, give tax cuts more deeply to those who have money, and it gives 2 great bumper stickers for Democrats. So I got to think either they're very short-sighted or their plan is longer term than that. And when your competitor does something that looks like a mistake, you want to think about what is, if they are smarter than us. Warren Buffett says, if you're playing cards and you don't know who the pansy in the room is, it's you, right? So you want to think about what are they doing? And I think that they know that they don't win in a narrative of, hey, things are going great, and they've got to do whatever they can to make the country feel like we're in trouble.
We said the same thing, though, Andrew, right before the winter break here, as to there must be a strategy what the GOP is doing. As we saw with the payroll tax, there really didn't seem to be a Mensa meeting here when they decided to basically have a circular firing squad on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they've changed all that much since that winter break, or really in the last couple of years. It's still, hey, the problem's worse than we thought it was going to be, and the only way out is to help the job creators. And it's that same argument that we've heard so many times, and I seriously wonder how effective that argument's going to continue to be.
Yeah.
And we see how well that worked for them.
That's my point, Dom. I listen, I'm with Kaihan. Whenever you think you're smarter than everybody in the room here, you're the sucker. But at this point, I don't get it. You can fairly say, where's the Democrats' plan? It's a legitimate argument. They're not offering their own. But if somebody said you wait around and you get Ryan's, it's a
but Obama doesn't even have to have a plan. He could simply make a winning case to America that I'm trying to stop these guys from drastically changing your life.
And that's what he was trying to do today. This is exactly what led us into the problem. You want another version of it? Vote Republican.
Well, I give you a recommendation, and that is here, Outthink the Competition. That's Kaihan's book here, and I suggest you give it a read. Kaihan, thank you so much. I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you.
Appreciate it.